let me show you a classic example of how people use social media for hate-filled rants against Conservatives, or anyone really on the right of centre. The venom is extraordinary, and it comes from people who often claim to be preaching tolerance and compassion. There are extremes at either end, of course, but it's particularly prominent, this sort of hateful stuff, in the mainstream left of politics, and it's often fuelled by leftist journalists as well. As I've told you before, I closed my Twitter account a few months ago because of this constant stream of bile, but I keep a bit of an eye on what does go on there. And have a look at what I found. This is a tweet apropos of nothing from a bloke called Les Stonehouse, a Queenslander who also calls himself a political spinner. If you're at a crossing and Morrison, Pauline, Dutton, Bolt and Chris Kenny were walking across the road together, would you have a huge smile when you realise your brakes badly needed repairing? My bad again. Only joking. Well, a little bit, says Les. OK, so we've had Burke Street, we've had Nice, we've had Berlin, but this bloke thinks it's kind of funny to fantasise about running over the people he disagrees with politically. But check out the responses. At last check, more than 100 people had liked this comment and more than a dozen had retweeted it. One respondent, Vicky, with a handle, "Don't blame me, I voted Labor," she tweeted, "I'm a little more, now the accelerator got stuck." A Wendy Beale, 444, went with, "Just reminded me of an old saying, kill two birds with one stone." Laugh out loud. My bad too. And a Devalara 44, who claims to be a former ALP staffer, replied that she was not damaging my car on those freaks. Can we hire a bus? Seriously. And a bloke by the handle Hugh Munro 16 said it was not so crazy and it might actually save the nation. NC Triggs tweeted, "Except that a modern car would just crumple. You need an old ute with a rhubarb." Teaser wasn't happy with a car. "I'd be driving a truck, B-double, fully loaded with beer, so everyone could celebrate. I'm bad too." One of them even suggested backing over us just to make sure we were dead. But if you dig a little deeper, the hypocrisy of this is just overwhelming. Take Emma B. Hart, who got involved in joking about who of the intended victims might push others under the car. "They would push Pauline for sure," she tweeted. "They might all be racist, but a woman with a voice is just as deplorable." This is incredible stuff, especially when you read her self-description on her Twitter profile. "Don't hate," Emma B. Hart says. "Hatred of anything manifests within you and creates something ugly." Sing it out loud, Emma. And then there are those who just retweeted it, including Desmond_Graham, who says he's a proud ALP member and that, wait for it, he hates violence. You get the picture. On and on this stuff goes. These are real people, presumably, with jobs and families. They get to vote, they get to argue and debate, and this is what they choose to send out there on social media. Dumbfounding stuff. I decided to track down Les Stonehouse and found him on Facebook, where it says he's semi-retired, and I was able, actually, through Facebook, to reach out to him and ask him if he thought posts that were fantasising about killing people he disagrees with are acceptable on social media. I also asked him how his family and friends felt about such posts and what they might think if such posts were made about him. And I got a short response from him. He said, "Read my handle. Laugh out loud. Most of my stuff are tongue-in-cheek humour." Well, we think we know what he means there, but there isn't much about this that is tongue-in-cheek, is there? It's more unadorned hatred. So Les Stonehouse then tweeted out my Facebook message, and he suggested that lefties with their silly tweets were no threat, but you'd be worried if it was a right-wing nutjob tweeting that sort of stuff. My point in highlighting all this nonsense is twofold. First, what is it with grown adults who think it's not only acceptable to joke about killing anyone they disagree with, but how can they be so unashamed about this idiocy that they're happy to put it up on a public platform and share it? And the second point is about the platform. Newspapers, television stations and radio stations, as we all know all too well, are responsible for the things that people say on their platforms. They go to great lengths and great expense to make sure it's within the bounds of the law and within the bounds of common decency. When someone goes too far, there are ramifications, and rightly so. But these digital giants have no such obligation. They make billions of dollars by hosting all sorts of stuff and plenty of bile and filth. This has got to change. We went to Twitter about this exchange, and their spokesperson said simply that we don't comment on individual accounts for privacy and security reasons. At Twitter, our singular goal is to improve the health of public conversation, including ensuring the safety of people who use our service. When we find accounts in violation of our policies, we take action according to the Twitter rules. So there you go, Twitter just adding to the standards of public debate there. Just another day on Twitter. My advice, keep away from this sewer. It's like reading the back door of a toilet in the public debate.